Some people don't like sellers and they want to work with buyers, but the big majority of people that come to me want to do sellers. So if that's what you want, then all the money that an agent is not making now is going to come from one of these 6 sources. One of them would be calling your sphere of influence, asking for referrals proactively, and then there's cold calling up and down the street through neighborhoods, asking people if they want to sell their house. There is door knocking if the weather is permitting, and then there's calling for sale by owners. There's calling expired and canceled listings, and there is holding open houses. And really, there is not one other thing that is ever going to make anybody real money.
Are you ready to take your real estate game to the next level? Well, on today's episode of Vulcan7 Coaches and Mentors, we're going to be talking about what it takes to be a fearless agent with skills, schedule, and systems. So make sure that you have a pen and paper ready because we have an amazing guest, a real estate coach that is going to be breaking all of this down. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and bring him on. Welcome, Bob Loeffler.
How are you, Loida?
I'm doing great, and I'm so excited.
I have my pen and paper handy.
Oh, perfect. I have mine too. I know I'm going to be taking a lot of notes. You are an amazing coach, but for anyone that's listening that maybe this is the first time that they're seeing you, go ahead and give us a little bit about your background.
Well, I was a high school dropout, never went to college, and had a series of dead-end jobs. Decided to get into real estate, and when I got into real estate, this was 1984. I had a big afro. My real estate car was a Harley, so I was obviously poised for success. So I failed miserably. I think I had a typical career path in real estate in that I failed miserably for 5 torture-filled years earning a poverty-level income. And then I learned the secrets of sales. And then my partner and I went on to be the top producing team of any size for Century 21 in the whole state of Arizona. So that made me feel better about the first 5 years. So now we teach that to other folks, so you don't have to endure the torture that I did, and have more fun and make more money.
That's awesome. And I love that your coaching is fearless agent, because in this industry, you have to be fearless. So when it comes to your coaching, obviously we're getting ready to wrap up this year. 2025 is right around the corner. If an agent is looking to be fearless, maybe the past couple months they've been struggling, but they're like, you know what, Bob, I've been hearing about you. What do I need to do? Where do they need to get started?
Well, you can go to fearlessagent.com. That's a shameless plug for me. Also, my podcast is in the top 2% of listened to real estate podcasts. If you go to fearlessagentpodcast.com, it's on iTunes or whatever you want. But I normally just start with this little visual. This is the welcome new member list to the local board of realtors. There's maybe a couple of hundred people there. And on the flip side, I color code it, and that big red group represents statistically the number of agents that will not even renew their license. They will, tie on the orange apron at Home Depot, fail miserably out of the business. And then that yellow group, which really represented me for the first 5 years. I did renew my license. I think a lot of people wondered why I bothered, but I was earning way below my potential. And then that little green group there is the percentage of people that get into the business, immediately have success, immediately earn an above average income. And of course, half of them did it by marrying the broker, or their sister's a lender, or they have some secret that I didn't have. Not that I'm bitter, maybe a little. So the question is, what is it that's going to what is it about the real estate industry that causes that failure rate? It's astronomical. I would say if we trained airline pilots the way we train realtors, we'd all be dead by now. So when you go to become an airline pilot, all airline pilots earn roughly the same amount of money, and they all have roughly the same success rate, which is, thank God, about 100%. We don't
Yeah.
crash planes. And yet realtors crash and burn, and that is not the fault of the realtors. It is the fault of the NAR and all the big major brands, and just all the big famous coaches out there. That causes that level of failure. So at Fearless Agent, we just do everything different. So a typical fearless agent coaching experience, I guess, would be like this. You would be able to walk up to a stranger listing appointment, meaning it's not a friend or a relative or a past client. You'd be able to get the listing that nobody else could get. You'd always be able to charge 1 or 2 or 3% higher than your competitor would be able to charge. You'd always be able to get a 1 year listing, not because you need it, but because they trust you and you can. Every seller would beg you to underprice their house right off the bat, and every one of your listings would sell in such a way that the seller would net tens of thousands of extra dollars that they could have never gotten any other way without you. And of course, that makes them love you and send you a steady stream of referrals. So the secret to making that happen is you just learn the Fearless Agent listing presentation and the Fearless Agent pricing presentation, and that will make that happen. And then we also teach you a for sale by owner presentation for those special folks, if you know what I mean. And then every buyer would be loyal to you. They would always eagerly sign the buyer broker agreement before you ever search the MLS or show a single house. And they would always use the lender you recommend so they don't have problems. And you just learn the Fearless Agent buyer presentation, and that would make that happen. And then we also teach an investor presentation that is for real rich people, investors that are going to buy and hold rental properties. So I'm not talking about the fix and flip nitwits that drive you crazy after they went to the scammy seminar. So that way, whenever you're face to face in any money making sales situation with a buyer, a seller, or an investor, you have the exact right words to say. You are more professional. The client has a much better outcome, and you would feel more confident. And then we teach you the exact right words to say on the phone that's different than what every other coach teaches, that will get you into as many of those scenarios as is necessary realistically to make any amount of money you want. So the the question I always ask people, I thought of one thing I might share with you today, just an easy way to double your income. But let's pretend you as an agent learn those 5 presentations. You're great on the phone. You're equally good at all types of customers, and if the money happened to be the same either way, would you rather work with sellers only or buyers only? Now, most people that come to me, most people that use Vulcan, which is a great product, they're focusing on sellers typically. So if and the money wouldn't be the same if you focused on sellers only or mostly. And I did that. I only worked with sellers. I At some point in my career I said I'm not putting people in my car. I forget what happened. The day came and I said, if I never put one of these, blankety blanks in my car ever again, it'll be too soon. So I got rid of my lockbox key and bought a Corvette so they wouldn't even fit in it. And that way I couldn't relapse on buyers. But it was the best decision I ever made. And that's not for everybody. Some people don't like sellers and they want to work with buyers, and we coach those people too. But the big majority of people that come to me want to do sellers. So if that's what you want, then all the money that an agent is not making now is going to come from one of these 6 sources. And you guys could write this down if you like. But one of them would be calling your sphere of influence, asking for referrals proactively. We give you the perfect words to make that a very comfortable call, and it would be comfortable for them to say either yes or no. And then there's cold calling up and down the street through neighborhoods, asking people if they want to sell their house. There is door knocking if the weather is permitting. And then there's calling for sale by owners. There's calling expired and canceled listings. And there is holding open houses. And really, there is not one other thing that is ever going to make anybody real money. And anybody who tells you differently is either crazy or they are a con man trying to sell you some stuff. So the big bucks are going to get made from those 6 sources. So I always say that the secret to life is not about doing what you love, because even that will become boring someday and you'll just have to settle for the money. So really the secret to life is about avoiding what you hate. So if you look at those 6 things, are there any of them that you would be unwilling to do for, let's say, $250,000 a year? In most markets, you'd be making that kind of money if you've followed my formula. So, so a lot of people say, "Oh no, I do all of those things," or they. If I think the number one thing that most people don't want to do is door knock because nobody ever got chased down the street with a pit bull hanging off their butt while they're calling on the phone, so that's an advantage. But or holding open houses or something like that. But if you're willing to do most of those things, then that would make Fearless Agent Coaching a good fit for you. And then what I ask people to do is just learn the 5 Fearless Agent presentations at their own pace. So I ship out the visuals that are already created. You only change your company logo, would be the only thing you change. And I provide you with video and audio recordings of me demonstrating them. So you learn by watching or listening to me. And I don't care how quick a learner you are. I'm not a very quick learner. And, and then but the secret is you have to be pure to those presentations. These are magic tricks that only work one way. No other coaching gets the results we do. It is because of those magic tricks. So you cannot add to, subtract from, mix it with any of the other baloney that's out there, and just be pure Fearless Agent on those 5 presentations, and then be pure Fearless Agent on the phone dialogues and get any tiny trace of any of the other poisonous stuff that's all over the world, the real estate world, and then just be nice on the phone and care about the customer more than caring about money. And that really, and then be eager to call me. So our coaching has 3 parts. One part is the 5 presentations. You learn at your own pace. The second part is we do a weekly group coaching call that is one solid hour of me coaching on 1 or 2 topics of my choosing, none of which you would ever hear from any other coach. And then there's usually about a half an hour for questions on any topic after that. That way you get a little bit of everything. And they're recorded. So if you ask me a question, if you're live on the call and you ask me a question, my answer would be recorded for you if that helps you, but it would help other people too. And then the third part is you can call me anytime. The coaching where it is a regularly scheduled weekly or something call, that to me is a scam. I mean, I want you to, when you have a question, you need the answer, then pick up the phone and call me. I don't have anything better to do than to make you rich. And then just follow the formulas that we give you, and that would pretty much guarantee your success.
Everything that you just broke down, I think is exactly what agents need, especially to succeed as we're wrapping up the year, getting into the new year. And one thing that I love that you mentioned is, stick to the scripts, the presentation, don't add to it, don't take away, because many times we see agents, they want to kind of do a combination of a whole bunch of different things, and then they think, this one doesn't work, that one doesn't, when in reality, they just didn't stick through with just one specifically. So, with that being yeah, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No, I was
I'll
gonna
drink coffee while you talk. How about that?
okay, perfect. I was gonna ask you,
Folgers.
I know that obviously you have a lot of coaching clients. I would love to hear maybe like a story of an agent, that came into your program, saw success, or anything that stands out from the agents that you've coached.
Well, you could hear this guy tell his own story on one guy, he was coaching with another famous coach, probably the most famous coach, and I and he signed up for my coaching, and then I was driving to the radio station to do my podcast, and he made the mistake of calling me, and that's how you end up being a victim. I mean, volunteer to be on my podcast. Um, so I'd been coaching him for only 3 weeks. So when he called in to the radio station, I said, you've been coaching with the most famous coach actually, for I think 3 years, and I said, what's the most listing appointments you ever scheduled in a single week? And he said 3, which is not bad. I said, okay, well, that's not bad. I said, well, I've been coaching you for 3 weeks. How many listing appointments did you schedule last week? And he said, since I started with you, I've taken 9 listings. He is the number one agent now in his whole company, by the way, of 100 agents did not take 9 listings those 3 weeks. And he's been since that day, he's been the number one producing agent in that company. And I have another guy that you hear on the podcast, but he did 16 um, uh, listings. He wanted to do listings only the year before, and he just blurted. I never ask people what their goal is because their numbers are always way too low typically. But he blurted out. He goes, "I want to do 60 listings in the next 12 months." I said, "Well, how much do you charge?" And he said a number that rhymes with fix. Let's just say it that way. And I said, "Well, instead of doing 60 at that price, why don't you charge 1% more and do 40? And then you'll make more money and it'll be a whole lot less work." Well, he goes, "You don't understand my market, Bob." He goes, "Nobody in my market could ever charge that much." And I said, "Well, I live in your market. I coach other people in your market. So I said, here's what I want you to do. Do you have a listing appointment scheduled?" He said, "I do." He goes, "I'm going to meet with this lady." I said, "Well, go to that lady, charge the amount I'm recommending, and if she says I will pay you 1% less than that, but I won't pay you that, then you have to walk." So that was the challenge I gave him. He said he would accept the challenge. So a whole year goes by, and we never talked about it again. I forgot about it. So I've been coaching him for a year. So he called me up and he says, "I have a success story to tell you." He goes, "But before I do," he goes, "you gave me a challenge." He goes, I walked in and told that lady I charged 1% more than I had been. She never even flinched, and I've never charged less than that since." And he said that last week he booked 7 listing appointments, none of them canceled, and he took 5 listings at the higher percentage. So that belief, it was a fact to him that he could not charge 1% more, only existed in his tiny little brain, just like my tiny little brain has all kinds of crazy ideas, right? So reality is he did 167 listings in the next year with one assistant at the higher percentage. And so he's glad he got rid of that belief. Crazy idea.
Absolutely, yeah.
So that's the secret. It's just having the right mindset and then having the right skills. We teach you the skills, which is the 5 presentations, how to negotiate offers, even if you have a deal you have a problem with, call me first. I'll always have a different answer than the broker typically. It'll be correct. And then the schedule is the other thing I wanted to talk about if we still have time. Do we have time?
We do. I was just about to ask about the schedule.
So let's pretend that you're equally great fearless agent style on buyers, sellers, and investors, the 5 presentations, and the words to say on the phone. An easy way to double your income for the year is this. So the schedule of a fearless agent goes like this. Now this is for full-time agents. If you're not full-time, this might not work. Or if you have the special needs kid or the church commitment that jams you up a little bit, we'll modify it for you. But if you can always eat lunch at noon and always eat dinner at 5 p.m. and then always start your prospecting at 9 a.m. So it's 9, noon, schedule every listing appointment at either 2:30 in the afternoon or 7 p.m. at night. And that doubles your income for the year. So you do have to sleep. You do have to eat, so you're not hungry and cranky. Uh, and then when so let's say you schedule a listing appointment at 4 in the afternoon. You can't do one at 2:30, and you can't do one at 7. So you can only do one a day. But if you eat at 5, eat at noon, prospect in the morning, so that always happens, and do your 2:30 and 7. You could take two listings in one day, and many days you don't take any, of course, but it allows you to take two some days, which doubles your income for the year. So a little thing like that can make a huge difference, and it also makes the appointment scheduling much easier because um, also when like my day would go like this. I would be at lunch, and it's comforting knowing that I have a listing appointment at 2:30 or I don't,
Mhm.
but I don't have one any other time. I have one at 7 or I don't. So it's not going to be all the kinds of things. It's going to be those two things. So when you go to schedule an appointment, and the person says yes, we are, you're cold calling or whatever, and they say yes, I am thinking about selling my house, and you go through the fearless agent, uh, where are they moving to, which finds the money problem. Then you sell them on the product, which is tens of thousands of extra dollars they can't get any other way. Then you crush the competitors. Then you resell them on the product. Then you go to when, and if the answer to when moving day is going to be is within a couple of months, then it's time to meet. So you say, well, can I explain exactly how I get you way, way more money for your house? They always say yes. And you say, well, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to meet. And I like to meet with people in the afternoons or the evenings. Do you folks have 9 to 5 jobs? So, what you're up against and hoping to never hear is, well, we want to wait a couple of months. Now, the default setting, given the opportunity to hesitate, most people will hesitate most of the time. It's like, no, I'm just looking. You're going to the store and they go, oh, can I help you find something? You know exactly what you want. You don't know where it is. You need their help, but you go, oh, no, I'm just looking, because that's what we always do. And then you turn around and go, wait a minute, I don't know where I am. So they're used to saying that. And if you said to a seller, when would you like to meet? Now they have to think. It's too hard. They go, oh well, and they go, I think we want to wait a couple of months.
Mhm.
That is built into that. So you want to avoid that. So you always give them count them, two choices. So you say, well, I like to meet with people in the afternoons or the evenings. Uh, do you folks have 9 to 5 jobs? They go, well, as a matter of fact, we do. Well, I've got 7 p.m. on Monday available, or would Thursday night be better? Always two choices. Then they go, oh, Thursday would be better. Okay. And that's how that works. And again, a little thing like that could make you an extra $100,000 a year, because you're not going in the follow up. Because when you try and follow up, maybe they don't even answer the phone. And so everything, that's the schedule. And then the systems really are kind of like that guy I was talking about, Ryan. He did 167 listings at full commission and with one assistant. So the one assistant is the system, is a system, having an assistant. Now, there's teams of 10 people that don't do that kind of production. And teams always underperform. If you're brand new in real estate and you're thinking about being on a team, shoot yourself instead. That's crazy. That is going to, teams always underperform. And I coach big teams, small teams, husband, wife, 50-50 partnerships, or like two brothers or something like that. And then individual agents, and then individual agents with an executive assistant. And assuming they were all equally hardworking, productive, the least profitable is the team. The most profitable is the 50-50 partnership, or the agent with an executive assistant. That tends to be the most profitable, or just the individual agent without an assistant. Um, and then far less profitable than that is any size team, and the bigger the team gets, the less money they make. So just the systems, putting all that together, and really just organizing, getting a lot done easily, delegating everything you can that doesn't make you uh, large amounts of dollars per hour. So that's part of what we do.
Yeah. Everything that you have broken down, I think is exactly what agents need. I love the schedule because sometimes, especially as agents are getting some traction, getting appointments, there isn't like a specific, you know what, I'm gonna do my appointments during this time frame or these two times. Sometimes they drop everything that they're doing to go show a buyer or go on a listing appointment. So I think just kind of getting disciplined with the 12 o'clock, the 5 o'clock, the 9 a.m. And it's going to take time for some people, but obviously just doing these little small changes can
Mm,
increase their income, their success in this business. Everything that you have mentioned, I think every agent will probably have to watch the replay a couple times just to continue writing down notes. But for anyone that is interested in learning more about your coaching, or reaching out to you and getting connected, what is the best way that they can do that?
You can call me directly at 480-385-8810. That's my cell phone if you'd like to do a complimentary coaching call. Uh, and really, the purpose of that call is just to see, first of all, to help you in any way I can, whether my coaching would be a good fit for you or not, and to determine whether it would be or not. And then at the end of that, I would tell you if I thought it was or was not a good fit, and you could tell me the same. But even if it's not, even if my coaching is not a good fit, any of you are, I would encourage anybody to call me if they ever had a question. I'm always happy to help you. And then if you if you listen to my podcast and listen from the oldest, I think there's about 325 episodes or something like that, about a half an hour long, and they're audio only, so you can drive in the car and listen to them without crashing. Then listen to them like starting with one, two, three in that order. They're in a more logical order. Um, and then if you have any friends that are in real estate that are earning less selling real estate than they wish they were, and they are open to the idea of having some help with that, have them call me. Also, any if you're a company owner, if you own a real estate company and you're recruiting fewer producing agents than you wish you were, we do a recruiting coaching program as well. So, and you can go to fearlessagentrecruiting.com and watch my video there, and then call me anytime for a complimentary recruiting coaching call as well.
Okay,
And
perfect.
and most of all, if anybody who's watching this, I'm assuming they're a Vulcan 7 customer already, right?
Yes, or if not, hopefully after this they will be.
Yeah, I mean, you want to maximize the data. You know, is crucial to when I was cold calling. Uh, and by the way, I did it with my finger. You guys have an automatic dialer or something like that, but I was, and I didn't know that Vulcan existed or anything like it. So, but you got to have the right data, and you provide for sale by owner leads. Is that true?
Yes.
And expired and canceled leads for certain areas, I guess not all areas, and then the neighborhood data. So it's kind of a one-stop shopping thing. People could get whatever they want from you, and then they can call me and get the exact right words to say when they're on the phone,
Mhm.
and watch my videos on fearlessagent.com. There's training videos. You can watch all that, and listen to my stupid jokes, which is very important.
Okay. And we're going to make sure to put all of your links also in the description box below. So, Bob, thank you once again for coming on
Thank
the
you.
Coaches and Mentors show. Really appreciate everything that you mentioned and all of the knowledge that you dropped.
Well, is that background behind you, Lloyd? Is that your real house?
It's not.
See,
Don't tell
this
anyone.
is
It's a
fake.
virtual.
I put this here to make me look like I'm real smart because I read all those books and messy at the same time. So it's
I love it. No, well, thank you once again, Bob. Really appreciate you coming on.
thank you.
For everyone else, we'll see you on the next one.
Thanks
Bye.
for having me. Bye bye.